While most owners would never take these cars off-road, we drove the Cayenne and the Cayenne S through a rocky mountain trail in Oman. Our on-road driving was in a convoy through the straight and smooth roads of the UAE and Oman, with just a 2-minute stretch of unregulated twisty roads. Porsche is pushing the new Cayenne's performance tag, and what I can tell you from the short stint is that both the cars we drove do deliver to an extent. The engines are responsive and the gearbox, in typical Porsche manner, is lightning quick. When pushed, the Cayenne does feel like it's working hard, whereas the S feels more in its natural territory. As with all Porsches, there is an optional Sport Chrono Package with 4 modes: Normal, Sport, Sport Plus and an individually configurable setting. On our drive, we didn't really get to use the Sport Plus, and switching to it when driving in the convoy made the car feel too aggressive. Sport mode, however, was quite usable. As for the handling, driving on the 2 minutes of twisty roads really isn't something I would base my final decision on. But the steering felt nicely weighted and the car was composed and sure-footed. Both our cars had the optional Porsche Dynamic Chassis Control PDCC, which now has an electrically operated anti-roll bar system that's claimed to provide faster response times than the older car's hydraulic system. Another cool bit that's exclusive to the turbo is the active spoiler that automatically rises up by 20 mm to increase downforce when speeds exceed 160 kph. In Sport Plus mode, it rises to 40 mm, and if the sunroof is open it rises to 60 mm to compensate for the loss in aerodynamics. An 80 mm height is achieved in air brake mode when braking from speeds of above 170 kph, and just how efficient is this? Porsche says a braking reduction of 2 meters is possible when braking at 250 kph. We didn't have the turbo, but needless to say the active spoiler wasn't something we would have got the chance to test. As I mentioned before, we spent most of our time driving off-road and the mountain trails were simply breathtaking. This scenic setting made me appreciate the large panoramic sunroof in the Cayenne. Looking up at the tall, towering mountains on both sides of the narrow trail was simply stunning, if also mildly unnerving. Navigating the trail was pretty fuss-free. The surface was basically gravel, with loose rocks strewn about. In its normal setting, the Cayenne did rumble a lot, but on switching to gravel mode and the off-road setting smoothened things out a bit and also eased our worry by lifting the ride height. The air springs can raise the body in 3 stages, low, medium and high, depending on the mode selected. For a while, we had set the hill descent mode to activate automatically, and it does work well. However, it would also activate on short sections, where it wasn't required, and would brake and control the speed. So it's best to activate the hill descent mode only when you know you need it for a longer or steeper gradient, where it works splendidly. Should I buy one? When launched, the Cayenne range in India will comprise of the base model, the turbo and the hybrid, while the S version, Porsche officials say, will likely not make it. Pricing will start at just over the Rs 1 crore mark, at which you also have the Range Rover Sport for company. Against the British off-roader, the Porsche does offer a credible option. The styling won't scream all new, unless, of course, you look at it from the rear, which is probably how most of us would see it, but the old car's styling was very well appreciated and is still very much with the times. The car's drive is promising, and what I can confirm is that Rocky Mountain trails are a piece of cake, should you want to venture there with your Cayenne. Other than last year, where the Cayenne's limited availability meant the Macan took the lead, the flagship SUV is Porsche's largest selling model in India, and, as things stand, it's safe to say the new third-generation model is likely to be at the top again. 2018 Porsche Cayenne SUV road off-road driving. What is it? Quite obviously a Cayenne. Despite being all new, this new third-generation Porsche hasn't strayed far from its predecessor's styling. This, of course, is no reflection of what's inside, and, mechanically speaking, the third-generation Cayenne is pretty much all new. While the second-generation Cayenne was based on the VW Group's PL72 platform, the new SUV is built using the Group's MLB Evo platform that also underpins SUVs like the Bentley Bentayga and the Lamborghini Urus. The flagship SUV also gets a set of newly developed engines from the new Panamera, a 48V electromechanical anti-roll bar system and electric rear-wheel steering. The interior is also new and gets the latest generation of the Porsche Communication Management PCM system that debuted with the new Panamera. With an alloy and steel body structure, and an exterior made entirely of aluminium, Porsche claims the new Cayenne is lighter by up to 65 kilograms when empty, despite having more equipment on board. At 4,918 mm in length and 1,983 mm in width, it is longer and wider than the previous model by 63 mm and 44 mm, respectively. However, its height has dropped by 9 mm to 1,694 mm. The wheelbase still measures 2,895 mm, which is the same as the before. Globally, the Cayenne is the company's second largest seller, following the Macan, while for India it is Porsche's best seller. So, a familiar and well-loved look, with new and thoroughly updated mechanicals, should make for a very compelling buy. What's it like on the outside? Porsche's press release says that the exterior is visually enhanced, and the front and the sides bear testament to this. It's really nothing new. However, the rear is a big design departure and now sports what will be every Porsche's signature, a continuous light band. At the rear, the Porsche lettering stretches out horizontally across the center, with a number plate recess sitting below. The rear glass is raked steeply and hooded by a large spoiler that, on the turbo, makes it the first SUV to have an active rear spoiler. It increases downforce for cornering grip or decreases stopping distance and air brake position.